I am so excited to continue this Q&A. And I have a feeling that there'll be more parts because there's that many questions. And I don't want to put too many questions in each part because #momlife. But they're such good questions, and I'm sure if one person has one of these questions, someone else does, or they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. So I love a good Q&A, especially around one specific topic, because then if it's something that you really struggle with, you're like, just binge all of these, and it's almost like you're consuming one of my courses because there's so much gold in these Q&As. So give me #live, #replay if you're watching this. If you're listening to this on our Wake Up and Be Wealthy podcast, feel free to share to your stories and tag me. But nonetheless, I'm so glad that you're here and tuning in to a way that feels good to you. Shout out to Kristen Rourke with Busy Mom Bod for sponsoring this part of the Q&A. I get to be honest, I did peek at some of the questions because I was just curious. I feel the need to say that. So I'm glad that you're here, and I am delighted to support you. And so we've got more questions. So let's answer these burning marketing questions, shall we? So the next question up for grabs is, which performs best, reel or short/long content? So that's technically like 3 different types: a reel, short, and then or long form content. Here's the answer. It all works. It all works. You should be switching it up personally. You should be trying it all, because we don't know until we test and keep testing and keep tweaking and keep modifying. You could listen to the person on the internet that has the most followers on Instagram or Facebook or wherever it may be. And first off, followers does not mean buyers, so that's important. And equally, how one person grows a social media platform on a social media platform is going to be so different than the next, which is why most people do feel overwhelmed with marketing, because there's an infinite amount of ways to be successful on social media, and you got to pick one. Master reels, then add in short pieces of content, meaning like Facebook posts or like Facebook backgrounds, or even just it's like short and sweet and right to the point. Some people love reading a long story. Like if I have time, I have sat there and like if I'm like in the car pickup line, I've read long form pieces of content. I've watched videos. And so you just never know what is going to be somebody's flavor on a certain day. Like it depends on the day how like I love to consume content. Okay? So when we can think about your audience, their needs are changing. Their day is changing. How they're consuming content, right? What's their energetic capacity for that day? And new people coming into your world. Most likely people that are warmer will take the time for longer pieces of content, whether it's like long post or like a long video. Your short form pieces of content are going to be really key for people that are not familiar with you or they're warming up to you, right? Because they're not going to take the time out of their busy day if they don't know what your content's about. They don't know you enough to know if they like you or not, or what you can do for them. If they're not there yet, most likely they're not going to take the time unless somebody like shared it with them and said, you need to watch this or you need to read this. They'll be more inclined to do that. But we want to think about where people are at in their journey with your content. And everyone's going to be at different points, which is why we want to have different types of content. I would favor shorter pieces of content being for people that are newer to your audience. So when you're thinking about creating those pieces of content, think about that person. When you're thinking about longer pieces of content, whether it's like a live video, recorded video, a longer reel, some people can do reels up to like 10 minutes now, or like a long post. Think about your huge loyal customer, client, cheerleader type of thing. They're going to spend more time consuming your content because they're warmed up, right? So think about them. How can you deliver an amazing experience? How can you connect with them on a deeper level? How can you pour into them, right? So although somebody new to my world may not watch or listen to this, I know who this is for. And I'm delighted to support people that are going to take the time to watch it, right? And so we can just think of those types of people, but we should be doing it all. And equally, somebody that is, a huge cheerleader of yours or a client of yours, they may still consume the short pieces of content. So it's not that they won't, but they'll just be more likely to consume the longer, like the pieces of content that take longer to consume. Okay. So I hope that gives you something to run with when it comes to that question. Next question. Is there a sweet spot in daily number of posts? I've answered this before, but I will touch on it again because it is something that I get asked a lot. I like to do an energetic minimum, meaning I have a cadence that I like to carry every single day, but then I don't put limits on myself. And the reason why I love that is because when authentic content strikes, I like to run with it. I have so many downloads and they are, some days are bigger than others. And so those types of content perform the best. However, the pieces of content that are scheduled or pre-planned, it's more of a habit thing than anything else. It's to stay in the feed. It's to stay consistent. It's to stay having a presence. So God forbid if I'm not able to be on like fully present live type of thing, we still have some sort of cadence going. This was great when I was a new mom with 2 children, right? Like when I had Boone, this was so helpful because I couldn't do what I'm doing now as easily, right? And so I like to take the approach of an energetic social media content posting minimum, but no maximum. Because I believe when it's good quality content, go for it. Run with it because someone needs that piece of content and people will never forget that. Like there's pieces of content I've consumed that have like anchored into me. Like that's how much they meant to me. There was something about the piece of content that I just needed in that moment. Can you imagine if that person was like, I've posted too much today, I'm not going to post, right? So we just get to trust that what we're meant to post, no matter how many times that is going to impact somebody. And when you can impact lives, you will make a lot of money. Impact lives first, and then trust that you will be well taken care of. Now, you got to make offers. So it's not to not make offers, but so many people say, well, I'll give later, or I don't want to give too much, information away or support away. And there's always a beautiful energy there of making it feel really, really good. But when you live in abundance, there's no such thing as too much, right? When you live in infinite abundance, there's never too much giving. There's never too much receiving. There's never too much posting. And so when you can just step into that and get comfortable with that, the game changes. The game changes so much. And you leave the lack party and you're at the abundance party, and the abundance party is so fun. So join us. Join us. Does boosting increase your sales? So I'm assuming boosting posts. So the big difference between boosting a piece of content and like going through like a specific ad campaign is, in my opinion, more leverage. So when you go through a certain ad campaign, you can do more bells and whistles. So almost think, since I've just recently went through the car buying process, we were looking at all different cars and running all the scenarios and just wanting to make the best decision for us now and in the future. If we're going to make a big purchase, we want it to like be the right purchase for us. And so there's check marks that you can check on and off for different like bells and whistles of a car. So almost think about ads that way. When you boost a post, there's very minimal things you can do as far as a reach. Still can be valuable because you're getting in the news feed, right? You're paying to be in the news feed. You're paying for a better spot in the algorithm, and it's just going to keep recycling that piece of content, one piece of content, right? So does boosting your post increase sales? It can. It's not a guarantee just as much as posting, but what it can guarantee is more exposure, right? You're going to be able to get more bang for your buck than posting organically. Posting organically has a very short life cycle unless it goes viral on its own, right? Which can happen. But you can be just as successful posting organically, seeing which pieces of content do really, really well, and then either boosting them, which is more exposure, and recycling them into the algorithm, the newsfeed. Or if you go through a very specific ad campaign, which I believe boosting is a great way to start, right? It's a great way to dip your toe into paid advertising, in my opinion. Not everyone would agree with me, but for somebody just starting out, my goal is to always meet yourself where you're at. And so that is a great way to at least gain new exposure. You can start with literally the smallest amount of money, and it just makes you feel like the real deal. Like, every time somebody has said, I've seen your ads, it creates this like next level energy that I think is really valuable, because not every business owner in your industry is running ads. So even $5 can make you feel just more like you got your shit together, right? And so if you go through a specific ad campaign, there can be more benefits to that, just like a more bells and whistles car, okay? But if you've never done ads and you're not paying for somebody to do ads for you, again, it just is a great way to start, and you can start so small. And I think the thing to remember is wherever you're doing paid advertising, they want you to win. Because if you win, you spend more money, right? So if you're paying to play on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, again, you can start with a very low amount, but they do want you to be successful because that means you're going to spend more money. So you do have the upper hand in that matter. And when you've tested pieces of content organically first, you already know which ones are doing better, that when you can put ad money behind them, they do perform better because you've already tested them. So if you go through, or when you go through specific ad campaigns, you just have more features that you can go through as far as like different options of different types of ads, different retargeting tools, different demographic tools. So it's just more robust. But I have found that that can be really intimidating to somebody that's never done it. And then you feel like you can't do it. And that's not true. You just need to learn. So those are like my quick and easy tips around that. But nothing is guaranteed. That's why you have to keep doing it, right? Something's going to work the more you do it, right? Something's bound to work. That's like marketing 101, is we want to diversify our strategy so we can see what's working. But even when something is working, it doesn't mean to not do the other things, because the other things may actually be supporting the thing that you can clearly see that is working. Like when you think about traditional businesses, like a brick and mortar, they may be having a segment on the radio, plus they may be doing ads on social media, plus they may be doing email marketing, plus they may be doing flyers in the mail, like direct mail. So there may be one that looks like it's the winner, but the thing about marketing is it's all about repetition. So one standalone strategy may not perform as strong if it doesn't have the other strategies. Because if I'm in my car hearing about Olive Garden and then I go home and I see an email from Olive Garden and it says free breadsticks, right? Like that's its freebie, free breadsticks on Tuesday, right? And then I'm trying to think of another example. And then I go to my mailbox and they're like, hey, Christmas came early. Here's a free entree when you purchase another entree. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I see the email for the free breadsticks. This is not an actual campaign. I'm making this up just so we know. So all of those combined and maybe other ones helped get my booty through the door. But if they just did one, it may not be as strong. So that is why you doubling down on multiple layers of marketing strategies is key, because they're all helping each other. Even if you can't necessarily see it or feel it, they are, in my opinion. Now, the more we can track, so helpful. Like a billboard is very hard to track, or radio spots, like you can kind of track, but not so much. Ad campaigns, email marketing, easier to track. But all of them are super valuable, and you can like let off the gas on one of them or decrease, like you can play with the levers, but I would always recommend to have a good blend of different ones. As you're ramping up, layer one at a time though. Like that way you can get it solid and then add the next layer and the next layer. But you should always be diversifying not only your marketing, but also your revenue streams. So we want a good blend of all of it. Okay. On that note, what is a good email strategy? Well, like just to answer quickly, I messed up the number of the list. There we go. Just to answer like quickly, having you really understand your audience and what they're looking for is huge when it comes to an email strategy. I love a good email strategy that's all about giving and receiving, right? And every business is going to be different, but like for us, we've noticed our audience loves like a quick pick me up in the morning. That has been what has performed the best. They love a quick pick me up, short and sweet, something that they can count on, to the point where we have like the next 60 days already scheduled of that type of email. Okay. Now, doing my mini launch method is very valuable when it comes to email marketing, because you could do my mini launch method just to your email list and be super, super successful. So the best strategy when it comes to sales in your email campaigns is urgency. Urgency that's irresistible, right? So what is going to excite your audience to be like, I need whatever this is, right? Not just the deadline is coming, but what is it? How irresistible is it? Like, is it 50% off? Is there a free gift, right? We want to activate your email list and get them excited to go buy, and they're not like begrudgingly doing it, right? Like the vibes of your email list, just as much as the vibes of your content, are so important, like so important. So we want something to give to your audience consistently, not just a freebie one time. Like, how can you keep building a relationship in your emails? Okay. And every audience is going to be different. And it, like, even us, we had to test, we had to tweak, we had to like see and talk and see what made sense. And we just noticed by a landslide it was the morning pick me up. That worked the best. And so that's why we continue to do it, and we're way ahead because we don't want that to slip through the cracks because it's that important. What are your thoughts on paid Facebook promo groups? I think it always depends on the group. I've had great success with some, and I've had some where I'm like, it's not vibing. So I think it's great to test. It honestly, I always count it as like my ad spend or a portion of my ad spend. Some ads are going to do really well and some aren't, but guess what? You spent the money no matter what. So we get to look at paid marketing so much different because the nice thing about paid marketing is whether you like whether it was successful or not, you're buying speed. Okay? Because when you can get in front of bigger audiences, whether that's in Facebook groups or like public ads on social media, you're getting exposed to more people faster. And the amount of times that someone needs to see your face, hear your voice, connect with your brand, it's a lot of times. So it may take 20 different iterations of ads, but you could go through that 20 iterations actually really fast. And you can split test and you can tweak and modify. You can do different videos versus photos. Like that's what I'm talking about when it comes to ad campaigns. You have more capabilities to get more bang for your buck the more you dig in, right? So I love Facebook promo groups. I think find one or two that perform really well, which you don't know until you try, but can be wildly successful. I think Facebook groups are, even if you're in there organically, huge. Great way to network. Is having a schedule for social media realistic and actually helpful? Like theming your days or something? That's the question. So this is complicated because, like I mentioned earlier, I think having some sort of cadence is key because it builds consistency, which builds trust. You can post live every morning. You don't have to schedule. You also don't have to schedule a whole 30 days out. You could do one day ahead. You could do 1 week ahead. So I think this first depends on your schedule. If you are super busy and you know you're not going to have the time, right, on the day-to-day, schedule something consistently, at least once a day, in my opinion. Even if it doesn't get immediate likes and comments, people are watching. You just never know who's going to see that piece of content. I've had social media post have no likes, no comments, and I made $20,000 from the post, right? Someone later said, I saw that post, can you tell me more? But they didn't interact with it, right? Different industries are also very sensitive. If you're health and fitness related, not everyone's going to like say, hey, I need help. And even in my industry, not everyone's going to be vocal like, hey, I suck at marketing or I suck at energy and mindset work. Can you help me? Right? Not everyone is going to let the world know that they are struggling or having a challenge. So depending on what industry you're in, not everyone's going to give you the immediate validation. And even they may not slide immediately into your DMs. That still takes guts, right? Even in past years, I've had to work up courage to even DM somebody to ask them about their services, like even a couple years ago, right? And so we just get to keep that in mind. Everyone's in different chapters of their journey. And so depending on your industry, they need to see you in their feed a lot. It's taken years for somebody to like join my program before. Years. And I had no idea who they were. One of my favorite clients, said that she followed me. This is like one of my newer favorite clients. She's been with me for a few months now. She said, I watched you for 1 whole year. She, to my knowledge, I don't think she commented on anything, but she's like, I watched you for 1 year. 1 year. And I had no idea who she was. I had no validation. Can you imagine if I gave up? Can you imagine if I didn't put offers out there, right? She took one of my summer deals and like we just hit it off. And she's like soaring and it's so good. And I'm so proud of her and her confidence has just skyrocketed. Can you imagine if I gave up? Could you imagine if I stopped posting or I was very like hit or miss with my posting, right? So going back to the question, I believe at least once per day is huge. If it isn't the most profound thing, that's okay. Stop putting so much pressure on every single piece of content. If the goal is just to be in the habit of doing it, then you're accomplishing the goal. If the goal is to enroll one person from every piece of content, then that's a little bit more strategic. That's a little bit more, we're going to have to put some thought into that, right? We're going to have to test, we're going to have to tweak, we're going to have to see what works, what doesn't work. And it may not always be immediate, right? So my biggest suggestion is focus on one platform to be consistent on before you try to go to others. I personally don't believe in scheduling on, like there's schedule software. I don't feel like it's worth it. Most of the platforms have their own scheduling tools now, which is really nice. And they're going to favor if you schedule it within their platform. So that's my personal opinion. And if you just start with Facebook backgrounds, awesome. You know how many times I've done that? Just laying in bed. I'm like, okay, schedule that, schedule that, schedule that. Why does it have to be hard? Some of the most short and sweet posts are the ones that have done the best for me. Like our presenting sponsor came from a Facebook background post. Granted, I knew her, right? So it wasn't just like some random person on the internet, but again, can you imagine if I didn't put that post out there? So one of the most important things that I've noticed is you have to get comfortable with expanding your comfort zone around people for you taking up more space, right? Even once per day can feel really uncomfortable. Asking people to buy from you can feel really uncomfortable. And so if for 30 days, you scheduling posts is to purely get comfortable with putting yourself out there more, asking for people to like join your program or buy your digital download or, join your Facebook group or whatever it may be. Start small when it comes to why you're posting, right? And then you can build and build and build and get better and better and better. When I first started in the online space, I just simply was sharing my journey. There wasn't any hard selling. It was just here I am, and it performed so well to the point where in a way it was kind of all an accident, but not, if that makes sense. Like I was just sharing. It wasn't like, ha, 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 ha. I hope I make $1 million from this, right? Or I hope I grow and have a team someday. Like some of the things that I've accomplished even now and heading to accomplish were not even in my brain or in my belief system at the time. It was just, I'm having some really great results and I don't want to lose these results. So I'm going to keep posting because this is accountability. And people are like, I want that. How do I get that? I'm like, oh, okay, here's my affiliate link. There you go. Join my accountability program, right? And then people are like, I want to work with you privately. I want more support. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me open up a PayPal account. So in a way, it was just so organic. So it wasn't an accident. This has all been, all meant to be. But why I want to share that with you is I took the pressure off me making $1 million. I took the pressure off trying to go viral. I took the pressure, those things weren't even things that I had to take the pressure off because they weren't things that I immediately desired. My goal was just to be a better version of myself and share it with the world. So it's a stair-step approach there. Okay, let's go to the next question. So the next question is similar. What's a good content schedule for email? So I think at least once per week is manageable for most people. We email our list once a day, if not multiple times a day. If you think about some of the most popular retailers, they're emailing all the time. That's where they make their money. They've got to be constantly in your inbox, motivating you to go either into their store or go to their website, right? They either have like some sort of discount, some sort of offer. They need to be constantly in your inbox, motivating you. So they take that approach. Obviously, they're a big brand. They've got a whole marketing team, whether it's in-house or outsourced. If you're a one-person show, don't expect yourself to do that. However, I think once per week is great. I think twice per week is great. If you can work up to once a day, I call this the best friend, the BFF model. Don't you want to hear from your best friend every single day? Right? Like when Sarah reaches out to me, I'm not like, oh, it's her again, right? I almost feel guilty. I've had to work on this if I take too long to respond to her, because we have that good of a relationship that I'm just excited to talk to her. And two, I want to always keep our vibes really good. And so when you can be so valuable as if you're a best friend to your audience, they won't care how many times you're posting. They won't care how many times you're emailing them, because it's so good, right? Be so good that people can't look away. Be so good that people are so excited to see your content. And how you're so good is being valuable, right? What challenges does your audience have, even outside of what you do? If you could help solve almost every challenge that they have, right? Even if it was for free, here's a link for that. If you don't have an affiliate link, that's okay. Some of the things I post, I don't have affiliate links. Like I joke all the time about the cold foam that I get at the grocery store. I'm like, tell them that I sent you, even though I get no kickback. I'm okay with that. It's a product that I love, regardless if I get a kickback or not. I'm going to talk about stuff that I love. That's always my goal. That's how I started. That's how I'm going to continue to do it, right? Like, it's just, I think that's so important. And that's the best friend model. When your best friend sends you something, you're like, girl, you need this. Even if they didn't get a kickback, you're like, thank you so much. And then you end up buying it because you love it. And you're like, thank you so much for sending that to me. The BFF model is so powerful and it feels so good on both sides. And that's a powerful business model. When it can feel so good on both sides, you are unstoppable, right? Like you are totally unstoppable when it can feel so good. And how it can feel so good is one, your energy, your excitement, your passion, and solving as many problems as you possibly can for your audience. Hey, this coffee is really good. Hey, these greens are amazing. Hey, I'm doing an ab roller challenge. Like, let me show you that I'm doing it. Inspire you. Here's the link if you want to join me. Awesome if you don't. Here's a marketing Q&A. I do the BFF model. I'm doing it every single day. So, spoiler alert, you can do it too. And I love to do it because it feels good on this side. And people tell me all day, every day, they're like, I love your content. I love you. I'm no one special. It's the model that I'm modeling, right? It's the energy that I'm putting into everything. And when you're just focused on that giving and receiving, everything feels good. It feels good to give. It feels good to receive. We just keep going in the cycle. Okay. So the BFF model with the mini launch method will help you be wildly successful. And I break everything down for you, not only in the mini launch, mini course, but then Sales and Social Media Mastery, which is also on demand. And it's also on sale. There's no pressure to buy, but like if this is a topic that you're really struggling with, imagine binging Sales and Social Media Mastery, which is 20 plus hours of my best, deepest advice around sales and marketing. It would help you so much, and it's $500. If you need to break it up into payments, let me know. We can make that happen for you. But it took me a year. It took me a whole year to create that course. It's so good. It's so good. I took time because I didn't want to rush through the content. I wanted to be fresh. I wanted to be energized. So I took it one training at a time, almost once a week with like breaks in between for holidays and everything. And it's like the best of the best. It's so good. It's so good. So I'll continue to do the marketing Q&A, but don't hesitate to reach out and grab either the mini course, which is $7, which will like introduce mini launching, or go deeper with sales and social media mastery. But this is a skill that's non-negotiable. Like whether you buy something from me or not, you've got to get good at this stuff. You can keep delaying it, but it's not going to go away. It's only going to get stronger. It's only going to be more important that you get really good at it. And how you get really, really good at something is doing it over and over and over again. Now we want to have intention. We want to have good energy. We want to have a solid strategy, right? We want to have a good mindset. We want to be in the long term mindset of like, I'm not going to give up, right? I'm going to keep trying, keep testing and tweaking, just like the light bulb. It took 10,000 tries to get that light bulb, which is shining right there. Can you imagine a world if we didn't have light bulbs, right? You have your own version of the light bulb. You got to keep trying. You got to keep modifying. You got to keep climbing your staircase. It's not over until you say it's over. And the worst thing you can do is giving up. Giving up literally guarantees that you won't be successful. Continuing to try and tweak and modify, you're going to get there. It's one of my favorite things to say to myself and people I work with. You're going to get there. And the coolest part is you are guaranteed to grow the more you try, the more you invest in yourself, the more you continue to put yourself out there and get more comfortable giving and receiving. You grow so much. I was going through, just for myself, everything that I've done, everything that I've accomplished. Like I just wanted to see it all listed out because I think I forget. I've had an amazing life at a really young age. Like let me take that back. I've created an amazing life at a very young age, and it's all stacked from my past decision. And there's been some twists and turns and failures, of course, along the way, mistakes, lessons learned, all the things, but it's the mistakes and lessons and challenges and obstacles are so small compared to all the wins, all the growth, all the lives changed, that it's just so tiny, right? Like, and where attention goes, energy flows. And so I just needed that moment to like center me back of like, wow, like you've really done so much. You've created so much. You've said yes so many times to yourself in the best way possible. And it's only going to keep going because it's a giant staircase. And so how you get to the top of the staircase is one step at a time. So keep climbing. I love you so much. I'll see you on the next Q&A. I hope you're enjoying these, and feel free to share and tag with somebody that you know struggles with marketing, and slide them to my DMs, talk about the mini course and or talk about the mastery program. Happy to support you any way that I can.